I was brimming with happiness until a moment ago. I was struck dumb. I couldn't believe what my husband said. I've been transferred, so I'll be living in the new location by myself starting next week. After saying that, my husband began eating the breakfast I had prepared. We met through a marriage agency, dated for 6 months, and just got married last week. We moved into our new home yesterday. So, today marks the first day of our married life. He's reserved, so he usually doesn't talk much. And I had heard that my husband might be transferred since he works for a major construction company. However, there had never been a sudden announcement like this before. So, I was surprised by the sudden news of him moving to a new place for work by himself. He's older than me and has some old-fashioned beliefs, such as the notion that a man should work and support his wife. However, he understands my remote work as a web designer and doesn't impose his views on me. I found the charm of a mature man in him, and I thought he was manly and reliable. I work remotely, so I'll go with you, Mason. No, Maria, you stay here and take care of the house. I'll come back on weekends. But we're newlyweds. I'll make sure to message or call you frequently so you won't feel lonely. For some reason, my husband adamantly refused me accompanying him. I didn't know what to do, so I called my best friend Leah, after my husband left for work. Leah and I have been friends since high school, and she's always helped me when I was in trouble, and she is reliable. When I decided to marry my husband, Leah was the first to know. However, she didn't seem to like my husband very much. When I talked about my husband's transfer, Leah seemed distrustful. Isn't that strange? It's too sudden. Mason might be cheating. I don't think so. We're newlyweds, you know. Besides, he's not very talkative and he is not really popular among girls. You think so? I'm still worried. If anything happens, let me know. I'm here to help. After hanging up the phone, I became anxious. The word cheating that Leah mentioned lingered in my mind, and I couldn't shake it off. No, Maria. You have to trust Mason. My role is to protect the house and support Mason. I desperately tried to convince myself. The next week, my husband moved out and started living by himself. His new place was in a small city about 2 hours away by plane. In the first month, he came back every weekend and he also called me frequently. Living apart made me feel even more affectionate towards my husband, and I thought this life wasn't too bad. However, things quickly changed. The frequency of him coming home and calling me decreased. Feeling lonely, I tried to visit him several times. Are you coming back this week? This week, it's difficult. I have a business dinner. Again? You had one last week too. And you had a meeting the week before. We haven't seen each other for a month. It can't be helped. It's work. Then, should I go there? What? What are you talking about? I told you it's work. I'm hanging up. Even though we lived separately, it was only a 2-hour distance by plane. If we wanted, it wasn't too difficult to meet. My loneliness continued to grow. If my husband couldn't come back, then I should go to see him. However, my husband didn't like the idea of me going. While I knew I shouldn't doubt, suspicion began to grow within me. We couldn't see each other for over a month. I decided to go to see my husband, thinking that if this continued, marriage would lose its meaning. I decided to go to see him the next weekend. Then, I received a message from my husband which was unusual. He said he would be coming home this weekend. On the day my husband was supposed to return, I heard the sound of the door opening. I hurried to the front door. Welcome, BA. I was surprised and gasped. My husband had brought a woman with him. Huh? What's going on? The woman was probably in her mid-20s, maybe even in her early 20s. She had bright brown long hair with heavy makeup. She stared at me with her eyes, which had fake eyelashes on, wide open. Despite it being mid-autumn, she wore a t-shirt with a revealing neckline, and I could see her black bra through the shirt. She was wearing super short shorts that almost revealed her buttocks, and she had long, slender legs. She had a youthful charm that I didn't possess. On her shoulder hung a high-end shoulder bag. Upon closer inspection, she seemed to be adorned with expensive branded items. "Hazel, come in," my husband said, without paying any attention to my astonishment, inviting the woman into the house. My husband's hand was snugly placed on her waist. The strong scent of the cheap perfume she was wearing almost made my nose lose sense of smell. It had been a while since I saw my husband's face. Despite claiming to be busy with work, he didn't look tired. Instead, his complexion looked even better, and he looked younger than before. My husband smirked and said, "Maria, let's get divorced. Hazel is pregnant." "Pregnant?" "Yes, I'm going to have Mason's baby. He prefers younger women, you know. He says that it's more fun to doll up younger girls, and buys everything for me. Look, he even gave me this ring. So, old lady, get out of the house quickly." She flaunted the ring she had on her left ring finger. A large diamond sparkled. I was shocked by the sudden turn of events and felt like I might explode in anger. I could feel my blood boiling. At the same time, my nose stung, and tears threatened to spill. What a terrible humiliation. I couldn't forgive this. I took a deep breath and calmly began my counterattack. "Who are you calling an old lady? You brat." When I said one word, I couldn't stop after that. I'm a timid person, so I've never been this assertive towards others before. But now, I had to speak up. I couldn't just let them belittle me. "I won't agree to a divorce. Besides, you should be prepared for this. You knew that he was married, yet you got involved, so you'll have to pay compensation." "Compensation?" "Yes. You couldn't think about it with your tiny brain, could you? Or is your head empty? All the nutrients must have gone to those big breasts and buttocks. Poor thing. I would say the usual compensation for adultery is around $30,000. I'm going to make you pay for it." Upon hearing the word $30,000, she turned pale. She tightly gripped my husband's arm and spoke in a sweet voice. $30,000? I don't have that kind of money. Mason, this old lady isn't like what I heard. Didn't you say that she was timid?" My husband and Hazel were surprised by my unexpected counterattack. That's right. Until now, I had never argued with my husband, and followed and obeyed his words without saying anything. I did that because I loved him, and had decided to trust and be with him. But now, things were different. "Well, then, why don't you make him pay? Anyway, I'll make sure to get compensation from you." "Mason, she says she wants compensation. Did you know? Please pay that for me." She pressed my husband's arm against her chest, pouting as if seeking affection. "I can't. I don't have $30,000. "What do you mean? I thought you had a lot of money, Tisk." When she heard him say that he had no money, her attitude abruptly changed. She pushed away his arm, placed her hand on her waist, and stood defiantly. "I used all the money to buy things for you. Bags, rings, cosmetics. You are useless. You only bought me a few little things and you used up all your money? This ring is only worth $2,000. How broke? At that moment, the front door opened. It was my best friend, Leah, who walked in. She was wearing a black shirt and black pants, looking as sharp as ever. Oh, are you still in the middle of the battle? I'm glad that I made it in time. Leah smiled as she looked at us. She had a large envelope in her hand. Who are you? Leah, thank you. Let me introduce you. This is my best friend, Leah. She's a detective. That's right. Leah is a skilled detective specializing in infidelity investigations. It was about a month after my husband started living alone. He had stopped coming home, and our communication had dwindled. Worried about the situation, I talked to Leah again. Following Leah's suggestion, we decided to investigate my husband's background. At that time, I still had some lingering feelings for my husband and thought the investigation was unnecessary. However, Leah said to me, "If you don't know anything and suddenly he brings another woman, you will just let them do whatever they want since you are nice, Maria. I don't want to see you get hurt. If there's nothing going on with him, that's fine. For now, let's investigate Mason." As a result, my husband was guilty. I've got solid evidence. How about this? Leah showed me 3 or 4 photos while smiling triumphantly. The pictures showed the two of them walking hand in hand, embracing and kissing on the street, and Hazel entering my husband's apartment. I told them as they turned pale after they saw the pictures. Since we have this much evidence, I'll get a lawyer and I'll claim compensation. We are newlywed, yet you cheated on me. I'm very hurt. It's not like I have lingering feelings for you, Mason. Until compensation is fully paid, I'll be keeping a close eye on you. I didn't have any affection left for my husband. Initially, I was filled with sadness and anger as I felt that I was betrayed. However, every time I heard the results of the investigation from Leah, I became utterly disgusted by my husband's deceitfulness. I had decided to handle this situation calmly and get alimony from him. I discussed it with Leah and made the plan for the divorce. Wait a minute. I can't pay $30,000. Besides, I'll need money for the child that's about to be born. Can you wait a bit? My husband begged. Seeing this, Leah and I exchanged glances and burst into laughter. How naive can he be? I thought that was his charm, so I'm foolish. He is so naive that I even feel bad. What's with you two? I'm begging, but you're laughing at me. Don't you have any kindness as human beings? You have no right to say that. You cheated and made Maria sad. Besides, she isn't pregnant. My husband looked shocked and turned to Hazel, who had a triumphant look on her face. I had no other choice. Because you're not getting a divorce quickly. If I say that I'm pregnant, I thought that you'll probably get divorced right away. My life is at stake. That's right. I heard she's being chased by loan sharks. She has borrowed from various places and she even borrowed from dangerous people. If the repayments are delayed any further, who knows what will happen? And it's not just you she's involved with. I confirmed that she's dating at least 4 men. All of them are old geezers. They were approached by a young woman and happily got tricked. Now they buy all kinds of gifts for her. Is that true, Hazel? You said you loved me. Are you stupid? Did you think I'd seriously go out with an old man like you? You looked like you had money, so I was planning to marry you, get all the money from you, and then get divorced quickly. What? You guys are all looking down on me. Get out. Having learned Hazel's true nature, my husband finally lost his temper and tried to kick her out. Oh well. I shouldn't have gotten involved with an old man. You don't have to tell me to get out of here. I was going to leave anyway, pervert. With that, she left. Once again, my husband begged in front of Leah and me. I'm sorry. I got deceived by a weird woman and I hurt you, Maria. I got deceived by her, so I'm also a victim. Maria, let's start over. He changed his attitude swiftly. Oh honey, I'm so happy. Did you think I would say that? Unbelievable. I won't divorce you until you finish paying the alimony. Until then, I'll stay with you. I wouldn't want you to escape halfway through. Once you've paid, I'll get divorced from you quickly. What the hell are you talking about? Who do you think you are? Who do you think has been supporting you all this time? After all, he never thought my work as a proper job. I thought he was a man with a big heart, who doesn't impose his views on me even though he has some old-fashioned beliefs, such as the notion that a man should work and support his wife. However, I had clearly misunderstood. My husband thought that my work was a joke, and thought of me as nothing more than a convenient woman. To reinforce my perception, my husband showed his true colors even more. You can't have a decent life with your salary anyway. A web designer? You just have to type on the computer, right? It's not a job. It's just a way for a woman to have fun. You are the one who'd be in trouble if I left. I work for a big company and I'm talented, so I could earn more if I put my mind to it. He was about to leave after he said that. Facing his back, I delivered the final blow. You don't even have a job. Hearing my words, he turned around with a pale face. How do you know? I heard it from Leah. You lied about your career. You claimed to work for a big company, but it was a lie. You just work for a small subsidiary of a subsidiary. It's a company with about 10 employees, isn't it? I'm okay with it as long as you work diligently. According to Leah's investigation, my husband's career history, which he had used when he registered with a marriage agency, was full of lies. He had worked for a small construction company. He repeatedly changing jobs and he had never stayed at the same workplace for more than 5 years. The cause was women. He would get involved with a subordinate, and when it would become a problem, he would leave the job. This seemed to be the pattern every time. The small company he was working for when he met me had already let him go. He is currently making ends meet with day labor. You took out some money from our joint account to use for her, right? I think it was about $10,000. You've splurged. I'm going to make you pay me back. Now, let me tell you. As a web designer, who just type on the computer, make $3,000 a month. Ironically, as I tried to fill the loneliness of not having a husband with work, my skills as a web designer improved, and my salary increased accordingly. While my husband drooped his shoulders in disappointment, Leah and I exchanged a high five. Leah, thank you. I almost fell for it completely. I won't say, I told you so. I've thought he's an untrustworthy guy since we first met. Despite claiming to work in an office, he was oddly tanned and muscular. It seems that every time he got fired, he had some day jobs with manual labor. Afterward, my husband and the woman had to work hard till they were exhausted to pay compensation. My husband had a day job, and the woman worked at a bar. It took over 2 years for them to finish paying $30,000 for compensation, and $10,000 he took out from our joint account, the total of $40,000. That 2 years was the longest period of time we spent together after we got married. He asked me several times to reduce the amount of alimony, but I didn't agree. I was hurt by his affair and went through a tough time. It was his fault for looking down on me and thinking he could do anything. I needed proper compensation for that. On the day I received the last payment, I handed over the signed divorce papers and kicked my husband out of the condo. This condo was a wedding gift from my parents. After he packed his belongings into a Boston bag, my husband left. I don't know if he has a place to stay. With alimony I received, I launched a school for web designers. Leah is my co-founder. I handle the technical aspects, and Leah takes care of the management. Leah, who worked as a detective, had connections in various areas. Those people helped us in setting up the school. There are many women in the world who, despite suffering from their husband's infidelity, cannot divorce due to financial concerns. This insight from Leah led to the establishment of the school. I want people to acquire web design skills and lead independent lives. With that hope, the school was designed for women. Although we just started, we already have 10 female students. It's a small school using an unit in the condo, but it's fulfilling every day. The difference between the current life and the time when I used to constantly worry about not being able to contact my husband is like night and day. Although my marriage ended in divorce, it wasn't all bad. And there is one more thing. I'm also grateful for Leah's presence. If it weren't for her advice at that time, I would have reluctantly divorced without receiving any alimony, just as my husband and that woman wanted me to. I said to Leah, who was sitting at the desk across from mine, "Let me take you on a trip next long weekend. I haven't properly thanked you for the divorce. I've booked a famous hotel on a beach. Are you serious? I'm in. I'm so excited. I'll treat you to a dinner as well. You are the best. From now on, I'll live my life independently." I made that promise while looking at Leah's smiling face.